Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a little quick review of the Jeffree Star Bloodlust eyeshadow palette. As many of you know, I am a huge fan of the Jeffree Star Cosmetics eyeshadow formula. I know that there are some of you out there that have, specific issues with him, and I understand that. I can totally respect that. The Bloodlust palette is kind of a purple theme palette, and this is basically volume 3 of his blood collection. There were 2 other palettes in the collection. The first palette in the blood collection was Blood Sugar. This kind of like changed the whole game for the Jeffree Star Cosmetics brand. This one is the red theme palette. This one is one of my absolute favorite palettes in my collection. It's got these really beautiful red and pink shades in there. Blue Blood, which is a blue theme palette, this was volume 2. This one has some really pretty blue shades. I remember when I first got this, I wasn't sure if I was actually going to be able to do much with it because it was a blue theme palette, but I'm actually very surprised at how much I've been able to do with this. So I'm looking forward to trying out the third palette in the blood collection and kind of seeing what this one is all about. Right off the bat, to be honest, I'm going to say I'm not really 100% thrilled with this packaging. I like the shape, that's kind of pretty cool. The only thing about Jeffree is he's known to make these packages that are they're not nice and square and flat and can fit into my drawers. He likes this kind of crazy, weird shaped packaging. My main concern is the way that the palette is covered. This is basically velvet. This is fabric. I don't know if you can kind of see that. It's like this really pretty, like soft kind of a fabric there. And I'm just concerned that this is going to get really, really dirty, but I literally just got this package like a couple of hours ago, so I haven't had a chance to kind of play with it yet, so I don't know, how this fabric will hold up to staining, but I'll let you know that in the future when I've had a chance to play with it more. On the outside you have kind of a crown here, and then you have this cool little clasp right here, and basically it just opens up like this, and then those are the shades on the inside, and he has little imprints in them like he does with every palette. He's got some stars. He's got like a goblet here, which is in the Scandal Water shade. There's a heart here with a little, you see that? The heart with a little knife in it. That one is called Bleeding Heart. Then we have a snake, vile serpent, and this crown here in the Blood Queen shade. So yeah, just like his other palettes, he has little imprints stamped into it, which is really cool. Let's start off with some swatches. I'm going to try to do live swatches again and see how that goes. And then we can try to take some of these shades and put together a look. Because I'll be absolutely honest, when I first saw this color story, I was not excited. I was expecting much deeper, richer purples, when you consider the fact that it's supposed to be the third volume in his blood palette. You saw how, like in basically volume 1 and volume 2, how the Blood Sugar palette, was very, very red themed. The Blue Blood palette was very blue themed. There are like a lot of like lighter pastel shades in this. So, I was a little disappointed. I was expecting some deeper, more richer purples, but I have seen in some other reviews the shades being more pigmented and a little darker on the eyelid. So let's play around with it, see what the formula is like, and, just kind of see what we can come up with. I think what I'm going to do, because there's 18 shades in the palette, I'm going to start with the first 9 and make my way down, and then we'll go back and we'll do the other 9 and finish off. First, we've got Your Majesty, Take the Crown, Deviant, and Beauty Sleep. Those are the first 4 shades. Wet Jewel, Royal Pain, Dungeon, and Scandal Water. We got Sworn Enemy. I think I'm going to swatch that a little bit more. This is Sworn Enemy. It's kind of a goldeny green color. Pink Magic, Bleeding Heart, and Executioner. It's kind of a reflective shade in that black there. High King, Vivid Moon, and Monarchy. I think I'm going to get a little bit more of that. The Monarchy shade is kind of a little tan, kind of a taupey shade, so that one's not really going to show up well. Blood Queen, well, I like that one. That's swatched really pretty. Vile Serpent, and Betrayal. And that is the rest of the shades in the palette swatched. I've already done my face. As you can see, I've done my foundation, my powder, I've done my blush, and I've done my highlight. The only thing I haven't done is my lips. I have kind of a tinted plumping gloss on right now, but that's basically all I've done. I'm going to go ahead and start off priming my eyelids using my Juvia's Place concealer, my favorite base for my eyeshadow primer. My last video, the one I did for Sailor Moon, I realized I accidentally grabbed the Glamoflauge Foundation instead of my Juvia's Place concealer, but surprisingly, it actually worked pretty good as an eyeshadow base. I might actually use it again in the future. I'm just taking it and just covering my eyelids and blending it all out. Nothing special yet. I'm going to go in ahead real quick and lay down some tape on the outside corners because I want to have that base down so that I can do a nice fine wing and arch on the outside. So I will be right back. All right, we're back. I've laid down my tape on the outside corner. So let's go ahead and get started. I know I want to start off with Royal Pain, which is kind of this orangey, kind of a neutral there. I'm going to put that kind of all over the eyelids. The one thing about laying the tape down is that it can be a little messy. So I'm just going to kind of slap this on all over the eyelid. Working it right into the tape. In the palette, the shade looks more corally, but on the eyelid, it's a little more pink. But it's blending really nicely. It's laying down a good amount of pigment. I'm not really having any issues with this one. Now I want to take Bleeding Heart or Blood Queen or Vile Serpent. That's a tough one. I think I want to put Bleeding Heart on the lower lash line. So I think I'm going to do like some of the purples and maybe this green right here. I always have a hard time kind of decide where I want to go from there. I think I'm going to go from here. We started off with Royal Pain. I think I'm going to do Vivid Moon, which is this one right here, and then take that into Blood Queen and maybe lay down some of the Vile Serpent shade. I'm just kind of laying that in a crease, blending it up into that Royal Pain shade. See, this is one of the things I really like about the tape. I can just take my shadow, blend it all out. I don't have to really think about it. I don't have to be really precise with it. These shadows are blending very, very smooth. But then again, you know, when it comes to Jeffree's eyeshadow formula, very rare have I ever really had an issue where that's concerned. My main concern was just the color story not having as many purples as I was hoping for, but it's definitely more pigmented on the eye than it looks like in the palette. Lay a little bit more right out here. I'm going to take Vile Serpent here. That's kind of that turquoisey, greeny kind of a blue shade in the palette. And I think I'm going to lay it here. Take that to the inner corner area and blend it into the crease. The same thing on this eye. Just kind of tap it on and blend it in. My eyelids have a little crinkling and some lines on them since, you know, I'm over the age of 40, so I have to kind of like open and get kind of in that little crease area there. I'm going to lay a little bit more down. I want a little bit more pigment. All right. I'm going to take my BH Cosmetics crease brush here, and I'm going to take Blood Queen. Look at that. It's definitely got a whole lot of pigment there. I'm going to tap that into this outer corner, blending into the crease, kind of into that blue shade. The one thing I will say about this palette is that the shades, when I first looked at it, I thought it was kind of odd that there was that random blue shade and the red shade thrown in there, but this kind of a bluish turquoise color is blending into that deeper purple shade really, really nicely. I'm going to take just a little bit more of that Vile Serpent shade and tap it just a little bit more in that area. I'm trying to decide if I want to try to bring in this Executioner shade, the black shade with the glitter in it. I think I'm going to do that and kind of maybe lay it here and then take one of the brighter shimmers over the entire eyelid. I'm going to wet my brush. I'm going to take this right here. Kind of a wing using that Executioner shade. I like how pigmented it is. It's you know, it's got a nice, deep, rich black shade. I do like that, but the downside is that a lot of the glitter reflect that you're seeing in the palette, it's kind of fading a little bit when you actually place it onto the eyelid. So that's a little disappointing. I mean, you can see the glitter, but it's nothing like it is in the palette. All right. Now the question is, which one of these kind of shimmery foils do I want to do with this look? I really like the Sworn Enemy, which is that kind of a goldeny green shade right there. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of little quick swatches just to kind of remind myself of what these look like. So we got Sworn Enemy, which is that kind of a green gold shade. That's pretty. Then we got Pink Magic. This one is so creamy. That's like very, very, very creamy and iridescent. Look at that. I think I might go with that one. That is so pretty. When I did like the first swatches, I wasn't really getting that. I wasn't really being picked up on camera, but look at that reflect. That is gorgeous. And the shade is like so creamy too. I like, just so, so pretty. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Pink Magic. I'm really liking that one, that kind of purpley pink iridescent shade. Taking my flat brush, definitely spraying that because I want to try to get as much of that brightness on the eye as I can. Sometimes wetting your brush can help you really, really get that shade in there. I'm going to put it right here in the middle. Then I'll probably have to go back. I probably should have done this first before I did the black, but let's go ahead and lay this on, and then we'll go back and touch up the black if we have to. Oh, that is so pretty. Oh my goodness. Woo! Wow. Yeah, I think so far, I think this is my favorite shade in the palette. I'm kind of having a hard time. I'm like, well, it's kind of going on okay with the brush. I think I'm going to take my finger and kind of lay that down. See if I can lay that down a little bit more. I seem to be able to pick it up more on my finger than I could on the brush. So there we go. There we go. Now we're getting that iridescent, shiny goodness onto the eye. Wow, look at that. Yeah, by far, just from the swatches and kind of playing with it on my eyelids, this is definitely my favorite shade in the palette. That is just so pretty. And I'm not really getting any fallout. It's just kind of going right onto the eyelid. Wow. Ooh. So pretty. So pretty. Taking just a little bit more of this Vile Serpent shade and kind of blending it over the top. Right in there like that. And then I'm going to take a little bit more of the Blood Queen shade and blend that here over the top, just so we can make sure the shimmer is blended all into the mattes. Make sure we're getting that blend in there. I'm going to touch up the Executioner shade real quick, take the tape off, and then we'll do the under eyes real quick. So I'm going to touch that up right in here. It's kind of disappointing because there's so much of the glitter in the palette. Like when you look in this palette, you see all the glitter. See, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. See right here? You see all the glitter reflect in the palette? Well, when I go to actually lay it on the eyelid, it's like most of that glitter just fades away. I'm going to take off the tape, and then we'll take that bleeding heart and kind of put it under the lower lash line. All right, we're back. I'm going to take this kind of a pointed pencil brush and lay down just a little bit of the bleeding heart under the lower eyelid. You see that? Took the tape off, and you see how you get that nice clean line on the outside. All right, let's see how this red shade goes. Hopefully this goes well. So I'm going to take it right underneath the lower lash line. I like that. It's very pigmented. It's going on really nicely. That's definitely a true red shade. You know, sometimes when you lay down a red, it'll come off looking kind of pink or like burgundy, but it's not actually, you know, a real, true, deep, rich red. But this is a pretty nice red. A little bit more under here, kind of blending it underneath the black just a little bit. All right, now I'm going to take one more shimmer shade, I think, and kind of put it in the inner corner. I'm going to take this Wet Jewel, kind of this pretty iridescent pink right there, and lay that on the inner corner. I'm going to do it with a dry brush first and see how well it lays down. I'm going to wet the brush just a little bit. Taking it under here and blending it into that red bleeding heart shade. Take just a little more of the bleeding heart, blend it right in here. All right, I think that's the finished look. I'm going to go ahead and put on some liner, lashes. I'm going to go ahead and do my lips, and then we'll be back and we'll do some final thoughts. Hey guys, Editing Tanoia here. While I was editing my video, somehow I realized that I'd accidentally deleted the entire segment where I did the final thoughts. I don't know how I did it, but that entire segment is missing. So I'm going to go ahead and do some final thoughts now, and then we can go into the conclusion that I did record and go ahead and conclude the video. Final thoughts. Palette as a whole. If he had marketed this as just a launch on its own that had nothing to do with Blood Sugar or Blue Blood, it's a beautiful color story. Some of these pastels up here are really, really gorgeous. This shade right here, the Wet Jewel shade, it's gorgeous, iridescent, purpley pink. That is my absolute favorite in the shade. But when you consider that he did market this as basically volume 3 in the Blood collection, I still wish that there were some deeper, darker, richer purples in here. Because to me, you know, the shape of the palette, the color story doesn't really fit the richness of the first two. He did say he had a goth themed palette that's going to be coming out in the future, and that I'll have some of those richer, deeper shades, but I do wish that there were a couple in here. The only real negative for me in the palette is this Executioner shade. You know, that little glittery, the black shade that has kind of the glittery purpley little reflect in it. When you put it on your eyelid, beautiful, dark, deep black pigment, but that glitter kind of reflex just kind of dissipates into the atmosphere. So that's kind of disappointing, but those are the final thoughts. So now let's go into the conclusion. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribed, and be sure to hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified of any videos that'll be coming up in the future. And I have a few, really fun ones coming up here over the next few days. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.